scary. Hey, how you doing? It's Halloween time. And every day this month, I have been posting and will continue to post throughout the month a video a day telling you about a horror movie a day that you should watch. If you've not seen the videos, go back. They're all here. It goes all the way back to October 1st. So at this point, there's 20 of them. So go back. There are 20 videos dedicated to one movie a day, 20 different movies that you can watch and listen about. And make sure you watch. Watch a horror movie a day. I think you should watch 5-6 horror movies a day, but that's just me. So here's today's. It's the 21st of October, so this is movie number 21. Movie number 21 in this series of daily horror movie videos. So so please check it out, celebrate horror, and please donate to my Patreon page. Please do. $3 a month, as simple as that, helps out a lot. All the stuff that I do is free, so please donate. You'll get some bonus videos. Patreon.com/Nick D Show. Patreon.com/Nick D Show. Check out my podcast, the Nick D Podcast, also free. New episodes Tuesdays and Fridays. It's on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network, but you can just Google it, the Nick D Podcast. It's everywhere. It's on Apple and Spotify and Amazon, everywhere. So check it out. And we're doing a live version on stage of the Nick D Podcast. Me and Esmeralda Leon live on stage at the Zanies in Rosemont, the comedy club in Rosemont. And you can order your tickets now. They're on sale now. Buy them now. Order your tickets. Let's pack the place. Go to rosemont.zanies.com. Rosemont.zanies.com. The Nick D Podcast Live. It's Tuesday, November 15th. Mark it down and be there. Pack the place. We got surprises and prizes we're going to give away. It'll be interactive. It's going to be great. So be a part of it. Rosemont.zanies.com. Tuesday, November 15th. All right. It's the 21st. Here we go. The 21st movie. All right. And again, these are all random. I'm reaching into a pile that I'm grabbing. Oh, all right. Brian De Palma, The Fury. Yes, The Fury. I believe I talked about Carrie, and I did briefly talk about my love for Brian De Palma. So here's another one. This is a classic movie. Not a lot of people, this one, when you talk about Brian De Palma movies, a lot of people go right to like Carrie, and they go to stuff like Scarface and The Untouchables, and a lot of the bigger stuff that he did, and of course the Dress to Kill and Body Double, Blowout, things like that. This one kind of gets thrown under the bus a little bit, and it's kind of under the radar, if you will. It was shot here in Chicago, beautifully shot here in Chicago, and it was his follow-up to Carrie, and Carrie, again, was about a teenage girl with telekinesis and psychic powers. Same thing with this movie. The Fury is about that, and it stars Amy Irving and Andrew Stevens. They play two young people who are connected via their telekinetic psychic powers, and about how the government wants to get them. And Kirk Douglas plays Andrew Stevens' father, and he's like an agent who they think is dead at the beginning of the movie, but he comes back to find his kid, and that's basically what happens. There's a lot of intrigue and espionage and spy shit and psychic powers and scary shit, and people blow up and heads explode and all kinds of crazy shit happens. Carrie Snodgrass is in it. John Cassavetes is in it. It's got an amazing cast. Nancy Allen has a supporting role in it. And a lot of the people, some of the people from Carrie and some of the people that you'll see in later movies are in this as well. So it was shot here in Chicago. Great use of the city. Incredible use of there's great sequences that involve the L, Water Tower Place, downtown areas, and other locations on the North Shore and in the suburbs. So the city is used beautifully. And again, it's a movie about scary psychic telekinetic powers and how they're trying to be controlled by secret government agencies, and a bad guy played by John Cassavetes, who's fucking great in this movie. And Kirk Douglas plays the guy they think is everybody thinks is dead, but is going to save his kid and stop this conspiracy and save these telekinetic psychic powered kids who do scary shit throughout the entire movie. I love this movie. It's completely over the top. It's borderline nuts. It's De Palma at his craziest. Lots of split screen, lots of crazy camera tricks, lots of special effects and deep, rack focus and deep focus uses and different, uses of ratio and cinemascope and all kinds of crazy, cinema tricks and over the top flashy filmmaking that De Palma is known for. It's all on display in this times 10. It's great, over the top, crazy, cinematic Brian De Palma at his fucking best. The acting is all great. Amy Irving's particularly strong in this movie, and it's kind of creepy and it's kind of scary. It's very bloody, and the violence gets really over the top. People floating and spinning around while blood is flying across the room. It's great. It's gory. It's over the top. It's De Palma at his bloody, over the top, greatest cinematic insanity, and I love it. And it's got a sequence to take place at Old Chicago. If you're old enough to remember Old Chicago was in Bolingbrook, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Bolingbrook, Illinois, and it was an indoor amusement park with the first upside down loop-de-loop roller coaster. They had a big dome in the middle of it, and it was an indoor, amusement park with all the rides and roller coasters and carnival games and shit. And it was surrounded by what was supposed to be a really cool mall. So the idea was you could go, your kids can go to the amusement park and ride the roller coasters and do all kinds of crazy amusement park shit and ride all the rides, and you can shop at the fantastic, deluxe, beautiful boutiques and shops of Old Chicago. Well, the problem was that they didn't have any anchor stores. There was not like a Marshall Fields. There wasn't a J.C. Penney. There were no anchor stores at all. All of the stores were shit. They were like bad, like 70s T-shirt iron-on decal shops and candy stores and little trinket shops and head shops and really terrible clothing stores. They were all independent people. Who would rent the space. So there were no like big name stores. There were no anchor stores, or there were no Orange Julius's, none of those places. The kind of big anchor trademark stores that you see in malls, none of them were in Old Chicago. Old Chicago was like really shitty little shops, really terrible bullshit shops. Surrounded by what was really sort of a white trashy amusement park that became goofier and shittier and more white trash as the years went by. By the time it closed in the early 80s, it was a goddamn joke. But I just remember we used to go to Old Chicago all the time. My parents would take me and my friends, my cousins, we would go Old Chicago was a big, big staple of my youth in the 70s. We'd go there because you could go in the middle of winter. You can't go to an amusement park in Chicago in the middle of January, but you could because it was Old Chicago. 40 feet of snow, 60 below outside, it doesn't matter. I could still ride the Chicago Loop roller coaster and get a terrible decal T-shirt. Yeah, and smell marijuana. So it was, and so there's an entire sequence in this movie, in The Fury, that takes place in Old Chicago. It's a great testament. So it's going to live forever. Old Chicago, thanks to Brian De Palma, Old Chicago will live forever in the annals of cinema history. And it's a fantastic scene that involves some guys who are Arabs who are on the parachute ride that spins around, and they get ripped off the parachute ride because psychically Andrew Stevens unscrews the bolts that are holding the parachute ride together, and these guys, these Arab guys, go flying across the entire Old Chicago universe and smash into the haunted house. Yes. They had a haunted house year-round at Old Chicago. A terrible, stupid haunted house that I loved, and I went to a million times. But they crash into it, and the whole sequence, there's like a full 10-minute set-piece horror sequence that takes place in Old Chicago. So that alone makes this movie worth seeing. So, anyway, Brian De Palma at his craziest. Also, I do want to mention one of the best scores that John Williams has ever done. I think maybe my favorite John Williams score. And of course, John Williams, legendary, has done all the iconic scores, blah, blah, blah. It's John fucking Williams. But what you need to understand is fuck the score for Star Wars and Jaws and all that shit. This is the score. You want to talk about the best score that John Williams has ever done? It's for The Fury. So, an incredible John Williams score. Everybody great. Kirk Douglas, for God's sake, running around Chicago. Old Chicago documented forever. Crazy blood. John Cassavetes fucking explodes in the movie. Any movie where John Cassavetes literally explodes is awesome. So, The Fury. Classic Brian De Palma, classic horror movie, and you should watch it here on the 21st of October. Okay, tomorrow another horror movie. Woo.